prevent the opponent from building in this activity past the build out line. Ultimately, I think our goal as a group should prevent them from building past the halfway line. That's where we can start creating opportunities in the attack. So if we can keep them in their own half and prevent them from moving into our half, that would be beneficial. This activity starts maybe where a goalkeeper is, um, maybe from where a goal kick would be taken, and then plays out. And the idea of the three different areas is the three different possibilities of where we could be receiving a ball in the back. So our back four could, or back three, or what have you, could be receiving a ball. And ultimately, where do we want to force them back towards, right? And which is why our goal for the red team defensively is here, and their goal is just across this line. So getting past the defender is their goal. Okay, ultimately, if they pass it past the defender in the end, that's fine. So you could put a target here that might make it easier. But instead of like a dribbling over line. So that's the goal here. Ball comes in from this player, and then it's 2v1. Okay, so we can win the ball here and go score here. They can dribble over the end line. Right, that would be the goal of the activity. Same thing here. The goal would be then in the big goal, and then same thing here. The goal might be here. So those are some things we can do in this activity for 2v1. Now, some things to make it easier is if we increase this space, that's going to make it easier. Okay, we can also ask that this player defensively not come to defend until that player gets the ball. But ultimately, we want this player to defend when that ball is played. Okay, that's the idea. That's the cue for them to go put pressure on the ball. So when this ball is played, defender goes. That's a big coaching point we need to take away from this. The other thing we need to take away is where are we forcing them, right? So in this activity, we're going to force them back towards their own goal. Okay, that's where we want it. So central. That's where we want to force them. Here we could force them whatever way maybe their help isn't. And so if this player has help with this player here, we might want to force them away from that player. So those are some options to make it a little bit easier. The other thing, like I said, we can add this target and they can pass. That would make it harder for our team that's trying to prevent buildup, easier for the attacking team. So if we're doing really well on preventing buildup, if we've got a couple players that are doing really well, we can add a target here and say, okay, now you have to prevent this ball from being played into the target. And so now they're having to keep an eye on where this player is, that the target is, etc. That's important. As we go over here, right now it's got 12 by 18 grids. That's a fairly large size grid. Again, you can always shrink that or make it bigger depending on how difficult you want it to be. The goal for defensive line can be end line, again, easier, or target, more difficult for our team that we're defending. Okay. What we're thinking about is what should you do when the goalkeeper plays the ball? Okay. Another question is when can you pressure or when should you pressure? Right? Another question we can ask is can you get to that player at the same time the ball gets there? So when that goalkeeper plays it, can you get there at the same time the ball does? Right? We also want to think about cues. What are some cues to get higher pressure? Maybe it's a bad touch. Maybe it's a bad ball. Maybe it's a slow pass. Or give them a little bit more space if they've got control of it. Where do we want to prevent them from going? We don't want them to go forward. And then when you win it, where will you go? And then there's no answer there. I failed to put an answer there, but that should go forward. We should go forward. We should go to goal as quickly as we can. Here, we should go to goal as quickly as we can. All right, so that's activity 1 for our 7v7s for week, well, any week that we have preventing buildup. So the week of preventing buildup is our theme. This would be activity 1 for session 1.